सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणी नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So we'll come back to the discussion on the 15th chapter, where the Pandavas retire timely. 13th chapter was Dhritarashtra quits home. 14th chapter was the return of Lord Krishna, and 15th chapter is the Pandavas retire timely. So we saw in this chapter, the chapter begins with the apprehension and suspicion and various doubts by Maharaj Yudhishthir. And when he was doubting at that time, Arjuna comes back from Dwarika. After how many months, Pradeep Prabhu? Haribol? You're hearing me? After how many months of journey does Arjuna returns? 7 months. And seeing his situation, the anxiety of Maharaj Yudhishthir enhances many more times. And finally, Arjuna breaks the heart of everyone by dropping this news. The last word that he says is Yasya Shana Viyogena Lokahi Apriya Darshana Uktena Rahito Hiesha Martaka Prochate Yatha. I have just lost him. He's talking about Lord Krishna, whose separation for a moment would render all the universes unfavorable and void, like bodies without life. So Arjuna lost all of his luster, his prowess, his exuberance. Factually, for the living being, there is no one dearer than the Lord. The Lord expands himself by innumerable parts and parcel as Swamsha and Vibhinamsha. Paramatma is the Swamsha part of the Lord, whereas the Vibhinamsha parts are the living beings. And the living being is the important factor in the material body, for without the living being, the material body has no value. Similarly, without Paramatma, the living being has no status quo. We discussed this. What is the status quo? Similarly, Brahman or Paramatma has no locus standi without the Supreme Lord Krishna. This is thoroughly explained in the Bhagavad Gita. They are all interlinked with one another, or independent factor, interdependent factor. Thus, in the ultimate issue, the Lord is the summum bonum, therefore the vital principle of everything. And Arjuna is lamenting here. He is saying that he has lost the Lord. And not only he has lost the Lord, he has lost his life. Further, Yat samshaya drupada geham upgatanam rajanam swayamvara mukhe smara durmadanam tejo hritam khalu maya bhitas chamatsya sajjikritena dhanu aushadhigata cha Krishna. Only by his merciful strength I was able to vanquish all the lusty princes assembled at the palace of King Draupad for the selection of the bridegroom. With my bow and arrow, I could pierce the fish target and thereby gain the hand of Draupadi. So Arjuna is remembering, he is recollecting, he is going down the memory lane, that what all he achieved as success, behind it, everywhere it was Krishna's hand. Only by his merciful strength I was able to vanquish. He's talking about that Swayamvar of Draupadi Devi, where so many other lusty princes assembled, and Arjuna was able to pierce the eyes of the target fish. How it happened? Arjuna is very honest and very candid. He says it is not because of my prowess, it was because of Krishna's merciful strength. The Prabhupada explains in the purport, Draupadi was the most beautiful daughter of King Draupad, and when she was a young girl, almost all the princes desired her hand. But Draupad Maharaj decided to hand over his daughter to Arjuna only, and therefore contrived a peculiar way. There was a fish hanging on the inner roof of the house under the protection of a wheel. The condition was that out of the princely order, one must be able to pierce the fish's eye through the wheel of protection, and no one would be allowed to look up at the target. On the ground, there was a water pot in which the target and wheel were reflected. One had to fix his aim towards the target by looking at the trembling water in the pot. Maharaj Drupad knew well that only Arjuna or alternatively Karna would successfully carry out the plan. But still he wanted to hand his daughter to Arjuna, and in the assembly of the princely order, when Drishtadumna, the brother of Draupadi, introduced all the princes to his grown-up sisters, Karna was also present in the game. But Draupadi tactfully avoided Karna as the rival of Arjuna by expressing her desire through her brother Drishtadumna that she was unable to accept anyone who was less than a Kshatriya. The Vaishyas and Shudras are less important than the Kshatriyas. Karna was known as the son of the carpenter, a Shudra. So Draupadi avoided Karna by his plea. When Arjuna, in the dress of a poor Brahmana, pierced the difficult target, everyone was astonished, and all of them, especially Karna, offered a stiff fight to Arjuna. But as usual, by the grace of Lord Krishna, he was able to emerge very successful in the princely fight and thus gain the valuable hand of Krishna or Draupadi. Another name of Draupadi is also Krishna. She is also called as Krishna Sakha. Arjuna is also Krishna Sakha. And Draupadi is also, she is the Sakhi. She is Krishna Sakhi. Arjuna was lamenting, remembering the incident in the absence of the Lord, by whose strength only he was so powerful. Krishna says, Balam Balvatam Chaham. So, all the strength of the prowess comes from the Supreme Lord. And Arjuna is very much remembering that how he was specially favored by Krishna in all the situations where there was very critical. Yat sannidhav aham tu khandavanam agne adham indram cha samaraganam tarasha vijitya labdha sabha maya कृताद्भुता शिल्पमाया दिग्भ्योरन nripatayo balim adhvarete. Then he is remembering the other episodes at Khandav, where there was the fire. Because he was near me, it was possible for me to conquer with great dexterity the powerful king of heaven Indradev, along with his demigod associate, and thus enable the fire god to devastate the Khandav forest. And only by his grace was the demon named Maya saved from the blazing Khandav forest. And thus we could build our assembly house of wonderful architectural workmanship, where all these princes assembled during the performance of Rajasuya Yagya and paid due tributes. So Arjuna is speaking to Maharaj Yudhishthira, where he is saying that It was because of Krishna that we could have that. 1 second. So this Prabhupada will obviously mention it in the purport, so I will not discuss. Let us study from the purport this incident which happened. The demon Maya Dana was an inhabitant of the forest Khandav. And when the Khandava forest was set on fire, he asked protection from Arjuna. Arjuna saved his life, and as a result of this, demon felt obliged. He reciprocated by building a wonderful assembly house for the Pandavas, which attracted the extraordinary attention of all state princes. They felt the supernatural power of the Pandavas, and thus, without grudge, all of them submitted and paid tribute to the emperor. Emperor was Maharaj Yudhishthira, of course. The demons possess wonderful and supernatural powers to create material wonders, but they are always disturbing elements of the society. The modern demons are the harmful material scientists. Prabhupada has got a extrapolation. Prabhupada, the demons possess wonderful and supernatural power to create material wonders, but they are always disturbing elements for the society. The modern demons are the harmful material scientists who create some material wonders for disturbance in the society. For example, the creation of nuclear weapon has caused some panic in human society. 1 second.
Prabhuji, you are muted.
Sorry. So Prabhupada is hammering on the demonic mentality, and Prabhupada is extending it that in the previous era, there were demons. In the morning, I happened to speak on one verse in the temple hall where the demonic mentality was very much expressed by Hiranyakashipu. So these two species, or these two kinds of, since the time of creation. And what they do, they create some disturbance in the society, and Prabhupada talking about the nuclear weapons. And then Prabhupada expresses about what is so amazing about this demon Maya. It's called Maya Danav. It's not Maya, it's Maya Danav, it's Maya Danav. Maya was a materialist like that, and he knew the art of creating such wonderful things. And yet Lord Krishna wanted to kill him. When he was chased both by the fire and by the wheel of Lord T.S. Arjuna. Just see what the situation was. Krishna wanted to kill him. And this Maya Dana, this Maya demon, he was so clever, he took shelter of Arjuna, who saved him from the wrath of the fire of Lord Shri Krishna. Devotees are therefore more merciful than the Lord. And in devotional service, the mercy of a devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. Very powerful statement. Prabhupada is saying, in devotional service, the mercy of a devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. Both the fire and the Lord ceased from chasing the demon as soon as both of them saw that the demon was given shelter by such a devotee as Arjuna. This demon, feeling obliged to Arjuna, wanted to do him some service to show his gratefulness. But Arjuna declined to accept anything from him in exchange. Lord Sri Krishna, however, being pleased with Maya for his taking shelter of a devotee, asked him to render service unto King Yudhishthir by building a wonderful assembly house. The process is that by the grace of a devotee, the mercy of the Lord is obtained. And by the mercy of the Lord, a chance to serve the Lord's devotee is obtained. The club of Bhimasena was also a gift of Mayadanav. Yeah, the word is Mayadanav. So, you see here, Prabhupada is giving this very important principle that even if the Supreme Lord rejects, or if the Supreme Lord wants to kill, we always see this statement that Rakhe Krishna Mare Ke and Mare Krishna Rakhe Ke. But here we see, even if Krishna wants to kill and if his devotee gives protection, then Krishna will not kill. Krishna cannot kill. Why? Because he is pleased with even the demonic person if he takes shelter of his devotee. There are many incidences in Chaitanya Leela. But the devotee gave him the protection, and then the situation was completely changed. Some incidences. Yes, there Shri Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay, yes. Ramya.
Prabhuji, in incidents of Jagai and Madhai.
Yes, very good. Very good. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu invoked his Sudarshan Chakra and he wanted to kill Madhai. But Nityananda Prabhu saved him. Although he did not take shelter, of Nityananda Prabhu, he even attacked. That is the glory of Nityananda Prabhu. Maar khai prem de, dayal nitaye. Where will you find such a merciful person who after being beaten still offers his love? That is the insurmountable mercy of Lord Nityananda. Okay, very good. What are the other instances? All of us are planning to go to Mayapur. But where are we in Chaitanya Leela? Yes, go ahead there, Shilpa.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one Brahmin, he insulted Sivas Pandit ji, but Sivas Pandit ji was telling that, yes, I am a worshipper of like this Durga or something like that. But he forgive him.
Yeah, that is Gopal Chappal. Gopal Chappal was very envious of Srivas Thakur. And when he saw the glory of Srivas Thakur by the residents of the Navadip, so he tried to defame him. And Mahaprabhu says that I will make you suffer for millions of lifetime. And Gopal Chappal happens to be a distant relative of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is a very nice conversation in Chaitanya Bhagavat. But there, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that you have to go and take shelter of Srivas Thakur. But here that is not so evident or so expressed what Prabhupada is giving the principle. Prabhupada said a statement, very important statement. that in devotional service, the mercy of a devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. Where is the example of this? The mercy of devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. Many instances. Pranav, you're not reading. I don't see any reading in your sadhana chart.
No instances I remember.
Yes?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in Prahlad Maharaj, in Lord Nrsimhadev also, Lord Prahlad Maharaj wanted to forgive his father. He was asking boon for his father. I mean, rescue. But
But he never performed devotional service. No, that will not fit in here. Prabhupada is saying in devotional service, the mercy of the devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. At least two incidences I can recollect very clearly, very convincingly. One is of Devanand Pandit. Devanand Pandit was a big scholar and well known for his Bhagavatam discourses. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thoroughly condemned him. And Mahaprabhu was so annoyed with him because of mystery with Srivas Thakur when he came to Bhagavatam and said he has no right to speak Bhagavatam. Vakreshwar Pandit. Were you able to hear? Dashil?
there is some break, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So when Vakreshwar Pandit came to Kulia and he was in ecstasy and he was in dancing, so Devanand Pandit very lovingly and very, took a very humble position and served him. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to know about it, he showered his mercy on Devanand Pandit. So that clearly shows that in devotional service, the mercy of a devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. And then Mahaprabhu gives him a great discourse on Srimad Bhagavatam. That is very vividly explained in Chaitanya Bhagavat. One incident. There's another incident. Anyone would like to narrate? Gopinath Patnaik. Gopinath Patnaik did some misappropriation King Prataprudra, and King Prataprudra for his fault. He said, no, I have no business with such a person. And Gopinath Patnaik is the younger brother of Sri Ramanand Roy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu completely rejected and said, no, I have no business. If he had done some mischief, then he must be punished. But the devotees again and again came and begged Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that your devotee should not be abandoned and he should not be hanged. And when they repeatedly insisted, at one point Mahaprabhu told them that if you come again, then I will leave this place. I will leave Jagannath Puri. Only twice he said that. He said, I will leave Jagannath Puri and go to Allah. I can leave all of you, but I cannot include him. Mahaprabhu was so strict. But again, when the devotees came and pleaded, keeping Swarup Damodar Goswami in front, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agreed. He said, then go and pray to Lord Jagannath. Now that means he agreed. And then situation was completely changed. So Mahaprabhu was not in a mood to pardon him. Mahaprabhu wanted him, because Mahaprabhu wanted to keep the principle intact. But a sannyasi has nothing to do with the business of money keeping and funds. And anyone who misappropriates the fund of the Rajkosh, he must be punished. Punished to the extent of being hanged. But Mahaprabhu did not budge an inch. But when the devotees again and again came and pleaded and requested, then Mahaprabhu had to change his stance. There was a change of heart. It's a very important principle. Very, very important. Hari sthane aparade tare harina. If one has offended the Supreme Lord, one can still get resolved by chanting the holy names sincerely. But tum sthane aparade nahi paritran. But if one offends a Vaishnava devotee who is dear to the Lord, then there is no solution for that person. He is in difficult situation. So Maya Danav, the episode here which is being discussed here, that the fire was set to kill the Maya Danav, who was taking shelter in that Khandav one. And Krishna also released his Sudarshan. Who can save him? But this fellow was also very clever. He took shelter of Arjuna. And thus he was rescued. And then he performed a great devotional service. This is the same palace which he built, which could create illusion of water on land and land on water. And when the Duryodhana and his brothers, they came to Indraprastha, and when they were having a sightseeing of this palace, he was in bewilderment. He thought that it is a garden, but that was not a garden. He thought that this is a lake, but that was the assembly hall. And what he thought was an assembly hall was a water reservoir, and he fell in that water. And then Draupadi, laughed, and she gave that sharp remark that a blind man's son is also a blind. And that is from where Duryodhana's envy and jealousy, it expanded, and he plotted for that game of dice. That was the basis of the war, the fratricidal war of the Mahabharata. So who was the person who made it happen? It is the Maya Danav. Because these demons, they are very good in the spell magic. And he created such a spell that palace was a palace of spell. Everyone was mesmerized, including the Kauravas. So Arjuna is going down the memory lane. Yat tejasa nripashiro angrim ahan markatam aryo anujas tava gajayuta sattvavirya tena artaha pramathanatha Makhaya Bhupaha Yanmochitastad Anyan Balim Advarete. Your respectable younger brother. See how Arjuna is addressing? He is addressing Maharaj Yudhishthira, your respectable younger brother, who possesses the strength of 10,000 elephants, killed by his grace Jarasan, whose feet were worshipped by many kings. These kings have been brought for sacrifice in Jarasan's Mahabhairav Yagya. But they were thus released. Later they paid tribute to your majesty. So this is the episode of Bhimsen and his fight with Jarasan. Jarasan was a very powerful king of Magad. And the history of his birth and Brahadratha was also a very prosperous and powerful. He married two daughters of the king of Kashi. Being disappointed in not getting a son from either of the two queens, the king, along with his wives, left home to live in the forest for austerities. But in the forest, he was blessed by one great, should be, I don't know what is written here. Ani is being mentioned, it should be sage or Muni to have a son. And he gave one mango to be eaten by the queens. The queens did so, and very soon they became pregnant. The king was very happy to. The queens delivered one child in two parts, one part from each queen's womb. The two parts were thrown in the forest where a great she-demon used to live. And she was glad to have some delicate flesh and blood from the newly born child. Out of curiosity, she joined the two parts, and the child became complete and regained life. The she-demon was known as Jara, and being compassionate on the childless king, she went to the king and presented him with the nice child. The king was very pleased with the she-demon and wanted to reward her according to her desire. The she-demon expressed her desire that the child be named after her, and thus the child was surnamed Jarasandha, or one who was joined by Jara, the she-demon. In fact, this Jarasandha was born as one of the parts and parcels of the demon Viprachiti, the saint by whose benediction, saint, by whose benediction the queens bore the child was called Chanda Kaushika, who foretold of the child before his father Bhadraratha. Since Jarasandha possessed demonic qualities from birth, naturally he became a great devotee of Lord Shiva, who is the Lord of all ghostly and demonic men. Raman was a great devotee of Lord Shiva and also was King Jarasandha. He used to sacrifice all arrested kings before Lord Mahabhairava, Shiva, and by his military power he defeated many small kings and arrested them to butcher before Mahabhairav. There were many devotees of Lord Mahabhairav or Kalbhairav in the province of Bihar, formerly called Magadha. Jarasandha was a relative of Kamsa, the maternal uncle of Kamsa, and therefore, after Kamsa's death, King Jarasandha became the enemy of Krishna. And there were many fights between Jarasandha and Krishna. Lord Krishna wanted to kill him, but he also wanted that those who served as military men for Jarasandha might not be killed. Therefore, a plan was adopted to kill him. Krishna, Bhima, and Arjuna together went to Jarasandha in the dress of a poor Brahmana and begged charity from King Jarasandha. Jarasandha never refused charity to any Brahmana, as he performed many sacrifices also. Yet he was not on a par with devotional service. Lord Krishna, Bhima, and Arjuna asked Jarasandha for the facility of fighting him. So this is what they begged as Brahmanas. They begged an opportunity to fight with him. And it was settled that Jarasandha would fight only with Bhima. So all of them were both guests and combatants of Jarasandha. And Bhima and Jarasandha fought every day for several days. Bhima became disappointed that he could not kill Jarasandha, but Krishna gave Bhima hints about Jarasandha being joined together as an infant, and thus Bhima bisected them again and so killed him. So all the kings who were detained in the concentration camp to be killed before Mahabharata were thus released by Bhima. Feeling thus obliged to the Pandavas, they paid tribute to King Yudhishthira. So in a way, Arjuna is making Maharaj Yudhishthira remember that what were the great favors which were bestowed by Krishna. Patnya tava adhimaka klipita mahabhishekha slaghishta charu kabaram kitve shabhyam sparshatam vikriya padhe padayo patitashru mukhya yastat striyo krita hatesha vimukta keshaha. It was he only who loosened the hair of all the wives of the miscreants, who dared open the cluster of your queen's hair, which has been very nicely dressed and sanctified for the great Rajsurya sacrificial ceremony. At that time, she fell down at the feet of Lord Krishna with tears in her eyes. So what is the episode? Prabhupada explains. Queen Draupadi had a very beautiful bunch of hair, which was sanctified in the ceremonial function of the Rajsurya Yagya. But when she was lost in the bed, Dushasan touched her glorified hair to insult her. Draupadi then fell down at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna decided that all the wives of Dushasan and company should have their hair loosened as the result of the battle of Kurukshetra. Thus, after the battle of Kurukshetra, after all the sons and grandsons of Dhritarashtra died in the battle, all the wives of the family were obliged to loosen their hairs as widows. In other words, all the wives of the Kuru family became widows because of Dushasana's insulting the great devotee of the Lord. The Lord can tolerate insults upon himself by any miscreant, because the father tolerates even insults from the son. But he never tolerates insults upon his devotees. By insulting a great soul, one has to forego all the results of pious acts and benedictions also. Yona jugapo vanete durante karichra durvasaso rishi rachitat ayuta agrabhugya shakanna shishtam upayugya yatastrilokim triptam amsta salile vinimagna sangaha. This is the incidence of great Rishi Durvasa when they were in exile. During our exile, Durvasa Muni, who eats with because of an intrigue by our enemies. At that time, he Lord Krishna simply by accepting the remnants of food. Assembly of Munis while bathing in the river felt sumptuous. Durvasa Muni, a powerful mystic Brahmana, determined to observe the principles of religion with great vows and under strict austerities. His name is associated with many historical events. And it appears that the great mystic could be both easily satisfied and easily annoyed, like Lord Shiva. When he was satisfied, he could do tremendous good to the servitor. Calamity. Kumari Kunti, at her father's house, used to minister all kinds of services to this great Brahmana. And Durvasa Muni, being satisfied with her good reception, blessed her with the power to call any demigod she desired. It was understood that he was the plenary incarnation of Lord Shiva, and thus he could be either easily satisfied or annoyed. What are the Sanskrit words for being easily satisfied or being easily annoyed? What is Lord Shiva known as? And even Durvasa? What are the two words? बोलिए।
आशुतोष प्रभु जी।
Yes, one is Asutosh and the other is Tosh and the other is Rosh. Asu is there. Asu means quickly. He is quickly satisfied, that is Asutosh, and he is quickly furious or dissatisfied, that is Ashurosh. He is both Asutosh and Ashurosh. So is Lord Shiva. And Durvasa is the incarnation of Lord Shiva. It is understood that he was the plenary incarnation of Lord Shiva, and thus he could be either easily satisfied or annoyed. He was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, and by Lord Shiva's order, he accepted the priesthood of King Shwetaketu because of the king's performance of sacrifice for 100 years. Sometimes he used to visit the parliamentary assembly of the heavenly kingdoms of Indradev. He could travel in space by his great mystic powers, and it is understood that he traveled great distance through space, even up to Vaikuntha planet, beyond material space. He traveled all these long distances within 1 year during his quarrel with King Amrish, the great devotee and emperor of the world. He had about 10,000 disciples. And wherever he visited, he became a guest of the great Kshatriya kings. He used to be accompanied by a number of his followers. Once he visited the house of Duryodhana, the enemy cousin of Maharaj Yudhishthira. Duryodhana was intelligent enough to satisfy the Brahmana by all means. And the great Rishi wanted to give some benediction to Duryodhana. And as you all know, Duryodhana knew his mystic powers, and he knew that the mystic Brahmana, if dissatisfied, could cause some havoc. And thus he designed to engage the Brahmana to show his wrath upon his enemy cousins, the Pandavas. When the Rishi wanted to award some benediction to Duryodhana, the latter asked him to visit the house of Maharaj Yudhishthira, who was the eldest and chief among all the Duryodhana's cousins. But Duryodhana requested the Rishi to go to Yudhishthir's after the latter had finished his meals with his queen Draupadi. Duryodhana knew that after Draupadi's dinner, it would be impossible for Maharaj Yudhishthira to receive such a large number of Brahmana guests. And thus the Rishi would be annoyed and would create some trouble for his cousin Maharaj Yudhishthira. That was the plan of Duryodhana. Durvasa Muni agreed to this proposal, and he approached the king in exile according to the plan of Duryodhana. After the king and Draupadi had finished their meals. On his arrival at the door of Maharaj Yudhishthira, he was at once well received, and the king requested him to finish his noontime religious rites in the river. For by that time, the foodstuff would be prepared. Durvasa Muni, along with his large number of disciples, went to take bath in the river. And Prabhupada writes something more there. Anyone remembers? Durvasa Muni, with his large number of disciples, went to take bath in the river. And when these great sages and munis, when they take bath in the rivers, they perform one more rite. Rite, R-I-T-E. What is that? What do they do? Never seen? You would have seen devotees also in the river, or while even they are in the reservoir of water. When they enter, what do they do? Huh?
तर्पण
Sorry?
तर्पण बोलते हैं शायद।
Tarpan तो बोलते हैं when they were doing Pindadan. No. They recite the mantras and they meditate. Some even perform Gayatris. So there Prabhupada writes that he meditated on the impersonal Brahman. In one of the purports, when there was the quarrel with Amrish Maharaj, so Prabhupada states there that with his 10,000 disciples, when he entered the river to take bath, he meditated on the impersonal Brahman. Durvasa Muni, along with his large number of disciples, went to take bath in the river, and Maharaj Yudhishthira was in great anxiety about the guest. As long as Draupadi had not taken her meals, food could be served to any number of guests because she had that patra. What was the name of that patra? ये तो पता होना चाहिए.
अक्षय पत्र पर
Yeah, Akshay Patra. Akshay Patra. As long as Draupadi had not taken her meals, food could be served to any number of guests. But the rishi, by the plan of Duryodhana, reached there after Draupadi had finished her meals. When the devotees are put into difficulty, they have an opportunity to recollect the Lord with rapt attention. So Draupadi was thinking of Lord Krishna in that dangerous position. And the all-pervading Lord would at once know the dangerous position of his devotees. He therefore came there on the scene and asked Draupadi to give whatever food she might have in her store. Draupadi had already taken food. And there was nothing that the Akshay Patra could produce. And when they were in trouble, how to feed this Rishi along with his 10,000 disciples, so they seek Krishna's rescue, Krishna's help. And when Krishna comes, what he says? When he came there on the scene, Krishna said, I am very hungry. First thing is that you feed me. And what Draupadi had nothing. He asked Draupadi to give whatever food she might have in her stock. On her being so requested by the Lord, Draupadi was sorrowful because the Supreme Lord asked for her some food and she was unable to supply it at that time. She said to the Lord that the mysterious dish which she had received from the sun god could supply any amount of food if she herself had not eaten. But on that day, she had already taken her meals, and thus they were in danger. By expressing her difficulties, she began to cry before the Lord, as only a woman could do in such a position. The Lord, however, asked Draupadi to bring up the cooking pots to see if there was any particle of foodstuff left. And on Draupadi's doing so, the Lord found some particle of vegetable sticking to the pot. The Lord at once picked it up and ate it. After doing so, the Lord asked Draupadi to call for her guest, the company of Durvasa. So we should never ever waste even a grain of prasad. Even a grain of prasad can satisfy Krishna. Bhima was sent to call them from the river. Bhima said, why are you delaying, sirs? Come on, the food is ready for you. But the Brahmanas, because of Lord Krishna's accepting a little particle of food, felt sumptuously fed, even while they were in the water. They thought that since Maharaj Yudhishthira must have prepared many valuable dishes for them, and since they were not hungry and could not eat, the king would feel very sorry. So it was better not to go there. Thus they decided to go away. This incident proves that the Lord is the greatest mystic. What is the name of Krishna as the greatest mystic? What is Krishna called? Greatest mystic? Yes, Priyanka?
Yogeshwara.
Yes, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Dhruvaniti Matir Mama, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. Therefore, he is known as Yogeshwara. Oh, you read it from here? Another instruction is that every householder must offer food to the Lord. And the result will be that everyone, even a company of guests numbering 10,000, will be satisfied because of the Lord being satisfied. That is the way of devotional service. Prabhupada is giving a very powerful principle. Both the principles are very powerful. That whatever Krishna says, Yat karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad juhushi, dadashi, yat tapasasya kaunteya kurushva madarpanam. Whatever we prepare, whatever we eat, we must first offer it to the Lord. And Prabhupada is saying what will be the result? That don't worry, If you have prasad, then you can feed any number of devotees. I have seen that many times in my experience. Many, many times. The prasadam was prepared for X and 2X and 3X devotees were there. And all were served. No one went hungry. This is miraculous, mystical. It is all glories to Mahaprasad. And what is the glorious part? It is offered to Krishna. It becomes Amrit. It becomes nectar. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. Any discussion? Priyanka, you find out about Sonika. Last 2-3 days she is not joining.
पर मुझे मैंने कॉल नहीं किया.
You please call. That is what I am asking you.
Yes.
You please check out. You drop a message at least. We should care for every devotee. If he is missing that, it should, it should register our heart, should register our mind that we are missing the association of that devotee. Bolye, nothing to discuss? Everything is clear? See how deep is the impression in the heart of Arjuna. That is why Krishna selected Arjuna as friend. How the pain we see the gopis when Krishna left. So what they were doing, the gopis, they were feeling the pain and they were again and again they were remembering the episode which Krishna had with them. This is exactly what Arjuna has depicted. Adishi, the Advent day of Bhagavad Gita. Pradeep Prabhu has already shared that those who are interested in recitation, try to recite. The timing is there from 7:45 you mentioned, Pradeep. But it will not be restricted to 9. That is not the right timing. It will go till 10 minimum. Because in the morning we recite minimum 9 or 10 chapters. At least 50% we do. We try to do 10 chapters. And then please try to distribute. Entire day I was trying to reach you, Manoram, but I think you were very tied up. But please loosen up tomorrow. Loosen up from all other assignments or works. These will continue in the life. Will keep us in tentacles. But try to release yourself, and tomorrow please try all your best efforts to reach out to people and distribute Bhagavad Gita, give them a chance. My mother came today. She was having her birthday. So she came, I took her for darshan and gave prasad. So I said, where is your birthday gift? So she said, what should I do? I said, you please sponsor Bhagavad Gita. She gave me 51,000 rupees check. Happily. Charity begins at home. If we really believe it can do good, so why not to our most beloved ones? Why we are only asking? We are not beggars. We are not asking others. This is the greatest gift that we can give. But others will not, value it. Why? Because they are in the modes of passion and ignorance. But try. Whomever you feel that they should get Lord's mercy, please shower them. Please shower them your affection. Please try to reach out to them and try to at least offer to them. Whether they accept or not, that is their own choice. But please attempt. There was one more donor. Although I have not been able to do much this year because of so many other engagements, I was not able to meet him for a long time, and I was thinking how to approach him. Both his mother and father were in hospital for a long time. So I said, if I go and ask for donation, he will not feel good. Miraculously, I saw him in the temple one day, just on Sunday, this Sunday. So if you make effort, Krishna will definitely make ways in such a way that you will be able to do the service. But if you have hesitation, and reluctance, then you get into your own web created by Maya. So please do not get caught in that Maya's web. Try to go out and reach out to others and try to distribute as much as possible. If not distribution, then try to get some sponsorships. Try to do as much as possible. This time we have the opportunity to do devotional service. We don't know what is our time period in this world. We have the opportunity now, avail the opportunity. Have you written Manish to others like you did every year? I don't think you have done so far.
Prabhuji, I am calling actually. I'll write a mail to everyone also, Prabhuji, a reminder.
It is already late. You should have done it much before. You have called. You have spoken to how many? You speak to me later after this class today. So please, everyone, make your best effort. Physically, Ravindra Prabhu has already taken from me more than 500 Bhagavad Gita. And Pranab Prabhu has also taken almost 500 Bhagavad Gitas. 20 cartons is how much, Pranab? 480.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So by far, both these devotees, Ravindra Prabhu, I gave him a target of 500. He has already done 500. And he sent me the money of almost 50%. And so has almost Pranab Prabhu. But others, what are they waiting for? Huh? Subhasya Shigram. Anything which is auspicious must be done as early as possible. Not that we try to, keep delaying it. And when the last date comes, then we will think that, okay, let us do it. Tomorrow is very auspicious day, very empowered day. Very empowered day. In the morning, please chant your rounds. And then please try in the day to put effort to distribute Bhagavad Gita. If there is a need to take holiday, take leave, please take leave from your jobs, wherever there is your engagement. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.